I just wanted to share two links that might be important for you. As you're going to receive the slides of this webinar later on, you will also have all the links. So one of the links is about basic guidance. And here, if you're a newcomer to the program, you can find all the basic but extremely relevant information about Erasmus+, like as simply as what is the program, how can you take part, whether by yourself or on behalf of an organization, the priorities, how is it managed, and etc., etc. So some important information for newcomers. But also it has happened so that in the webinars that we have had so far within the past years, because this is like happening for some time now, we have had participants who come from countries outside the program, which are non-EU countries or countries that are not connected to the Erasmus Plus program. So I decided to share this link as well, where participants coming from these countries can find more information. So this link will take you to the Erasmus Plus Worldwide webinar. And it says 2024 because I could not find any information that the 2025 webinars have been scheduled yet. Nevertheless, if you go to the link to watch the recordings, you will find a lot of information about other opportunities, other possibilities to take part in the Erasmus program. Like you can see here, Maria Skodlowska Curie actions, and then capacity building in higher education, but also like in vocational education and training, Jean Monnet, and so on and so on. So I think that this link might be worth considering, especially if you come from the countries who are not part of this or directly part of this Erasmus program. Okay, and before we go on, I would like to mention a few things that I find important. So before we dive into the chatbots, first of all, I have to remind everyone that please take into consideration that this is a supporting tool. So it is actually used to help you understand the Erasmus program, to learn more about the program and the rules, to structure your ideas, clarify your proposals, but it doesn't replace you. It doesn't replace your creativity, your knowledge, your expertise, and most of all, it doesn't replace the authenticity of your work. And this is very important, and we also mentioned it in the title. The authentic work is most relevant. So, as I said, you should consider it more of a supportive tool that will kind of point you to the right direction. But remember that the real value comes out from your own ideas, your own knowledge, and your own expertise. So this is something that we need to take into consideration from the very beginning. And the other thing is that as this is a supporting tool, this is something that will facilitate your work. There is a lot that you need or must bring in this, let's say, relationship with the chatbot. And you know already, if you have written projects before, you already know that like the good quality project is based on the real needs. So it is very important to know where you stand now and to have a clear vision of where you want to be in future. And then to identify these gaps that prevent you from getting there. And then to think about what kind of activities will help you go there and what will be your target group. So in order to bridge this gap, you need like strong needs analysis. And evidence-based needs analysis is of extreme importance because then when you write the project, but also when you engage with your chatbot, you show to the evaluators that you have researched your target group, you have researched your environment, and you actually know what you're doing. You're very clear about how to get to this goal of desired situation in future. And of course, this has or needs to be in line with the Erasmus Plus objectives and priorities. And these kind of projects that actually address the Erasmus priorities are much stronger. And as I mentioned before, you need to be clear about what your target group is, what are their needs, what are their challenges, and what needs to change in order for them to get there. So this has to do with addressing the gaps. So as I said, the situation where you are now and where you want to get, and how are you going to get there? So while constructing this how to get there, you're actually addressing your objectives. So you are setting your objectives and you're also setting the activities that will take you there. And prioritizing is very important, especially for the evaluators, but for the let's say normal everyday functioning of your organization, because it may turn out that there can be a lot of needs, like a lot of things that need to be addressed. So prioritizing is a must, and you need to know what are your primary priorities and what are your secondary priorities. And of course, you need some measurable indicators. And it's not only about setting the priorities or scaling the priorities, but it's also about whether your priorities are feasible. Because you might have primary priorities, which you consider to be extremely important, but are they feasible? Do you have the resources to address this? What if you, for instance, come from a rural school and you are scarce on human resources? So is it possible to send all your teachers to a digital training and you know that they all need that training? Probably not. So even though some of your needs might seem very important, then you should consider feasibility. And of course, every evaluator asks, what are the lasting changes that your project will bring? So you need to be careful about impact and about sustainability. And how are you going to maintain the results of your project, or even better, how are you going to scale up from that? And last but not least, especially lately, that's inclusivity and inclusion as a very important priority of the program. And in my opinion, the easy cases, which means that projects that do not include participants with fewer opportunities are of maybe not of that high relevance for the evaluator. So now that we know what we must bring or need to bring to the project, let's see what the chatbot brings to this relationship when you communicate with it. So let's say that you have this needs analysis and then you start building on that. It helps you clarify the Erasmus priorities, which means that based on a needs analysis that you've already given, it helps you fit naturally the priorities into your proposal. So this is something that is really, really important. And sometimes it is very difficult to distinguish and to make the right choice. And then another thing is that the chatbot will help you structure your project ideas. So and in a more systemic or systemic way. And maybe you are not sure whether a mobility of teachers or mobility of students, which should go first and which should go next. So maybe you can also advise the chatbot on that. Or is it logical, for instance, to send teachers to an advanced digital skills improvement course, or should they start with something more basic? So it really helps you structure these ideas. And if you struggle with the work packages and so on, this is something that it will clear out for you in a very efficient way. And of course, improving clarity. And this is something that I really like. And this is when I use the chatbot, even ChatGPT, quite often, because it happens so that no matter how fluent we are in a language, and sometimes even in our like mother tongues, it's very difficult to express yourself. And this is very useful because what I do is sometimes I copy paste what I have written, and I asked the chatbot, like, what am I trying to say? Just simply and briefly, what is my point? And this helps a lot. It helps not only with the project proposal, but also with learning on how to express in a better way and to be in a more clear way. And again, least but not last, something that a lot of coordinators have found a bit problematic is sometimes the budget and the financial part. So it really helps plan the budget in a more effectively, but also like it can even help you build the budget. Okay, the connection. I hope it will be okay. It will help you build your budget based on the needs analysis, based on your resources, and based on the priorities that you have. So this is something that also is you can find the chatbot very useful for. Okay, so in a long story short, what is the best part of the chatbot? It's that it is very efficient, as I said. So much less structuring, formatting, drafting. It really helps you in a more easy way to focus on the important parts while writing your project. And there are no unnecessary steps and complexities. And what it makes it different from, for instance, let's say ChatGPT, is that these chatbots that were created by Visit Edufin and Euneos is that they have been trained, or let's say they have been fed with information that is relevant for the Erasmus Plus program. So they have been trained and updated continuously with all the new information about the program, like everything about the program. And the focus of the chatbots is Erasmus Plus, and they do not tend to go all over the different fields and topics. And of course, this means that you will have expert guidance because the information, as I said, comes from all the important materials, all the late materials published by the European Commission, and the chatbots, which I will introduce later, they all have also focus on different, I will just admit a participant, sorry. They also have focus on different key actions. So we will take a look at that later. And then the suggestions are tailored and they are aligned with identified needs, which means that the better your needs analysis are, the richer in depth and breadth your needs analysis are, the better. You will have better tailored suggestions for your proposal. And even though it can inspire you, like give you to so you can write these really unique responses. Be very clear when you express yourself. And sometimes very important, like you know everything about your organization, you know all the needs, you know all the issues, you know what to do, how to help. But then if you start writing, you'll probably write like 6 pages, and then the application asks for 3,000 characters. So it's great at summarizing. So you keep the quality like of what you've written, but in a summary that you can use for your application. So as I said, it supports you, it helps you, it facilitates your work, but everything comes with it from you. And about the accuracy, like if you have used other chatbots before, let's say ChatGPT is the most popular one, then you know that the accuracy can be questionable. And what I really, really hate about chatbots is that they tend to agree with you. Like if you question their suggestion, they will probably agree with you. So please make sure that you double check some information. Like if it's about deadlines and similar, that's something very important. And that should be double checked, because it can happen so that like it changed just an hour ago and the chatbot has not been updated. So this like very, very important and relevant information, then you should um, really double check that. And please, please do not forget about confidentiality. So do not share emails, do not share, especially not passwords or any personal information if you don't need to or have to, but try not to. And this is entirely up to us to be careful about. And the ethical use is also something that's entirely up to us, probably at this point, because at least to my knowledge, I have not so far found any information about the ethical use of AI in project writing. So I don't know. What I managed to find are these guidelines on prohibited AI practices. So I have shared the link and you can check it out later. But this is more like, I think they were published on 4th of February 2025. So they are quite recent. And this is published by the European Commission, as you can see. But they are more like recommendations rather than rules. And I think that they apply more to companies or organizations rather than private users. But I think that it's really good to go through them so you can see also as an individual or as a school, when you use AI, what can the threats be? So this is why I decided to share this link so you can take a look. But about the ethical use, again, I think that because I have worked as an evaluator, not in the time of AI, of course, but in my opinion, it is very important to inform in your project application if you have used AI. Well, that's my personal opinion, because I think, first of all, it's ethical, second, it's fair, and third, it can be detected. So I don't know what the practices are now in different national agencies, but as I said, and this is something that I truly believe in, the chatbot cannot write your application. Like, it's not a cheating tool. That's what I understood. So it is your own authentic work. It's just that you got support. And I think that you should like acknowledge this and inform the evaluator. And this should be considered as a plus, especially nowadays. Well, yeah. Okay, about the chatbots that I mentioned, first of all, they are absolutely free to use. But you can, again, check this link the guidelines that I mentioned, just to know what you're getting into, and please be careful with sharing confidential information. But the chatbots are absolutely free to use, and there are three chatbots. The Ultimate Erasmus Guide, as you can see from the title here in this slide, which is like more general about project writing. And then there is a chatbot about accreditation that helps you like more specific. Of course, you can ask other questions, but it is more like specifically designed or trained to assist you with your accreditation. And then the other one is more focused or trained better to support you or facilitate when you're writing about K2 projects. So I'm going to show you now the chatbots. So this is the Euneos website, and it's very easy to find the chatbots, but I have the links in the slides, so you will get the links anyway. But if you go to Erasmus Plus and to how to apply, and here you will find some very, very basic information about Erasmus Plus. And then you will find the three chatbots that I mentioned. So the Ultimate Erasmus Guide, or the more general chatbot, look for more general information, more general project writing work. And then the K2 Project Wizard to support your K2 project writing, and the Erasmus Accreditation Guide. So this is like bit more focused on accreditation. So we will go back and check them out, and hopefully we'll have time to do some hands-on work. But before that, like when you start to communicate, start to talk with the chatbot, besides the needs analysis and being clear about what your project is going to be, when you have a clear project idea and a lot of other founding information, then you need to consider that you need to be, first of all, you need to be specific with the chatbot. You have to take into consideration, like remember all the time that this is a machine. So be specific. And what does it mean? Let's say, for instance, that you want to improve the digital skills of your teachers in your school, and you want to send them to a training course. So you can write that. I want to send my teachers to a digital training course. But then you will probably receive a very general response. And then it will take longer to clear up what you want and what you need. But if you are like a bit more specific and explain a bit better, what is your school? Like, for instance, let's say that it's a rural school and that your resources, human resources, technical resources, they're very scarce, for instance. And you would like a digital training on digital, improving of digital skills and digitalization. And then the more specific you are, the better tailored is your response. So let's say you've done your needs analysis, but also that's not enough. You need to be as specific and as detailed, I would say as detailed as possible when asking questions. And then follow-up questions, this is yes. So let's say that you ask these questions and you come from, let's say, Germany, for example, and it mentions Germany, Germany, Germany all the time. And then you just say, okay, stop with Germany. I don't want to go to Germany, or we have been to Germany or whatsoever. So stop that and don't focus on Germany, just exclude it. So the more follow-up questions you have, or this is more like a feedback, you give it feedback. So the more clear and better responses you will receive, of course. But we will try that out later. And use keywords in order to work faster and better. What does it mean? So I said that these chatbots are trained with all the materials from the European Commission regarding the Erasmus program. So try to learn the keywords. Like don't say like general project, just be specific, small scale, K1, etc., etc. Be as specific as possible. And of course, it can get stuck. So be patient. Like the more difficult or more demanding your question is, the more it can like take time. But be patient and just continue. If you have worked with ChatGPT, it can like block at time, but you can just continue or rephrase your question or just edit it or something. So it will continue. And as I said before, double check. Um, Even though as I said, we promise it's the most recent materials, etc., etc., things can change. So if it's crucially important information, just double check. Okay, and what is interesting about the chatbots is that you can usually all the three chatbots have these options 1, 2, 3. And one is about questions and answers, which means that you have the option to, it has been trained in such a way that you can like, using the first one, you can ask more general questions or ask about basic things about Erasmus Plus, etc., which doesn't mean that if you ask more in-depth question, it won't give you a response, but it has predefined questions which may assist you through the way. So this is why they are divided into these three different parts. And then the second part, and I will show this, of course, the second part is about the personalized advice. And this helps in creating, let's say, the perfect, I would rather say, good quality application. So what it does, it has also predefined question, but it leads you through the process of the application. So it's been trained in such a way that you go through the questions of application. But please remember at all times what I said about needs analysis, the real needs. So if you have those, then you can like continue building on your application. And the last part, I also really like this part. This is document improvement, which means that you have already written what you have written. You have your application more or less ready, and you copy paste part to the chatbot and you can ask for advice. And this is about clarity as well. And as I said, I like this part. I like to use it because sometimes it is really difficult to express yourself clearly. Maybe a lot of times I think that I express myself quite clearly, but that's not the case, because when I ask shortly and simply, what am I trying to say? It actually understands something entirely different. So this is very practical, something that I really like. But let's take a look how it works actually. So this link, you will have the links again, I remind you. Let me show you what I talked about and see how it works, and then maybe you can try it out as well. So this is the Ultimate Erasmus Guide, and this is one of the three chatbots that I mentioned is like for more general project writing. So it gives you the three options, the three alternatives below. Questions and answers, like this more general part, guides you to the application process, and then you copy paste part 3, you copy paste part of your application, what you have written, and ask for improvement, maybe. Let's start with the first one, just briefly to show you how it works. Okay, so as I said, if you have no idea what to do or where to go, especially if you're new in Erasmus Plus, you already have the predefined questions. And I think that while creating and training this chatbot, like the most burning questions were used here. As you can see, like the eligibility criteria for teachers applying for Erasmus mobility, And I think that as a coordinator, like former coordinator of projects, I think this in schools, like former in schools, I think that this is also a good way to help your staff, your teachers, or other people that education professionals that work at your organization to learn more about the Erasmus program, because not everyone has the same threshold, first of all, and not everyone is at the same level. So this is very, very useful. And let's say that I'm not going to use the predefined questions, but I'm going to ask something that, that I mentioned before, like I will try to be like ask first, we would like to send our teachers to a course to improve their digital skills. And let's see what okay, let's make it more like detailed. And this is very, very general, very simple and not detailed, by the way. Let's say which countries have the best practices in digitalization? Okay, let's see what it suggests. We already know what it's going to respond, but let's see. Okay, with strong practices in digitalization, it has Estonia, of course, Finland, Denmark, Netherlands, and so on and so on. But then, as I said, let's be even more specific. Let's say that, okay, we are a rural school with scarce human and technical resources. Which countries in similar situation have the best practices in digitalization? Okay, let's try it now. Let's see. Okay, see, so now it is different. Now it's not Estonia, it's not Finland, but it's the countries that have been having same issues as we have. So it is extremely efficient, because if you try yourself to find this information online, it will probably take a lot of time. But this is really good. And about giving feedback, let's say that we have no, like, let's do this. I'll give it feedback. Ireland is very expensive and out of our budget. So please exclude Ireland in future. Let's just assume this. Okay, so now it knows and remembers, and now you can continue the conversation and ask about the other countries like Portugal, Spain, and Greece, etc., without now considering Ireland. Well, depending on what you want to ask. So this is one way to use these more general questions and answers. But let's take a look at the second part that I mentioned. So again, I go back and I go to help in creating the, I would say, good quality application. Okay, a lot of people are late. I'm really sorry about that, but you will receive a recording and slides. So hopefully you can make most of it. Okay, so it guides you systematically into the writing the proposal, as you can see. And it starts by asking questions. So what are you interested in? And because we already talked about digitalization, let's go with two. Let's say we are going with digital transformation priority. And let's see what it says. Okay, and now it leads you again. It asks you like, what are you interested in? Is it going to be student mobility, stuff, or something else? Let's go with stuff. That's B. So you don't even have to like write the entire text. like the letter is enough. And then it asks you, what are you going to do? You can opt for one, two, or all three. It really doesn't matter, because when you're writing an accreditation, for instance, you'll probably include them all. Let's go with 5, a course, sorry. Okay, and now it asks you like specify your destination countries for this mobility project. So if you already have an idea of the country that you want to visit, you can just go ahead and write the country. But if not, you can also ask what I asked before. Even here, like, which is the country with the best practices that matches like closely our reality, our situation, like mirrors it. But let's say that we are going to go to Greece, for instance. Okay, and this is where it all starts. Now that you have defined some of the things, now it guides you. It starts with the questions and it guides you throughout the proposal. So here, um, the first question is about the key challenges or needs of your school. What is it? So this is about the needs analysis already, and this is where I strongly suggest that these are suggestions from the chatbot, but you need to keep your authentic responses. So instead of like, you can take a look at the example, use it as an example, but honestly, this will not work for any school or any organization, because this is like more in a theory, but practically it's not a good project. It has nothing in it. So every evaluator will see that, like, it's pointless just to copy paste. Like, okay, but we talked about that, and I would like to now show you the third part and my favorite part. So this is when you've done your work, but you want to check. I have here, I will just, okay, I will do this. So sorry about that. Because I already have a text, so I'm just trying to copy paste it. So this is something about impact. And this is from a very old project that it's not applicable any longer, because there is something fairly new about impact. So I will copy paste the text that I have from this old project. And when you copy paste your text, you can either just give it to the chatbot, just press the arrow, or you can, like, which is even better, have a specific question. Like, I like my intro, like the first paragraph, but I'm doubting the second and third paragraph because this and that. I'm not very sure if it's clear. I'm not very sure if this is correct, because I know, for instance, for a fact that this Impact Plus exercise is an old thing. Now there is a guidance on how on impact that was developed by Finland, and I don't know, I don't remember now who, but it can be found online from the European Commission. So you can either like send it like this to the chatbot and it will analyze it and start responding, or you can be very specific about what you want to do. So it gives me like, it gives a short analysis. So I mentioned the impact exercise, but there are no indicators and how I'm going to measure that. And it gives suggestions also, like it improves it. So you can talk a bit more about that. Okay, this is very briefly, this was not the slide where we were at, just a sec, we are here. Okay, and this is very briefly about how to use the chatbots, but you are more than welcome to try them out. And actually, I would like us to try them out now. And I have prepared also a Padlet where we can also share the experience. It can be good experience, but it can be also like a comment, something that you disagree or don't like about the chatbot. And that would be very, very useful and helpful for us. So the idea is like to improve the chatbot so you can, when I say you, I mean everyone can use them in a much better way in future. And I will say again, the chatbots are free, but check the guidelines. Okay, just check just to be on the safe side, but they are free for everyone to use. And I will send the slides again because some people joined later. I will send the slides and you have all the links there. So every information that you need, you can find it. All the links are there. And this is the video that it's a summary of what I talked about. So I will just play it so you can take a look. I don't know if the sound will play because I'm not sure if I turned it on, but that's not important at all. Let me just see, share computer sound. Okay, it should be like